Hello everyone, welcome to ECC course module 2. In today's video we are going to write the program for the Fibonacci sequence. We are going to write a method which returns given number of terms of Fibonacci sequence. Now before we start writing the code, let me explain to you what a Fibonacci sequence is. A Fibonacci sequence is a series of numbers in which next number is obtained by adding up the first two numbers. So as you can see in the series shown, 0 and 1 are the first two numbers, and then henceforth each number is obtained by adding the first two. So the third number is obtained by adding 0 and 1. The fourth number is obtained by adding 1 and 1. The fifth number is obtained by adding 2 and 1. And so on. The series goes on like this. So there are also certain specifications of this program that you need to keep in mind. The method should return a string that contains the given number of terms of the Fibonacci sequence. So if you say we want 5 terms of the Fibonacci sequence, your output should be a string containing 5 terms of the sequence. Numbers must be separated by a comma. So in our first program of module 2, we printed a string of numbers separated by a space. But this problem, we are going to do it a bit different. We are going to print the string separated by commas. And the final specification says, if the given number is not in between 1 and 40, return -1 as the string. So this is kind of limiting our Fibonacci sequence. So we are going to print a Fibonacci sequence up to 40 digits. If the number is beyond 40 or less than 1, we are going to return -1. Now let's jump into the code. As we saw in our last video, we simply go to the project, right click, select new class. Let's create the class by the name Fibonacci. And add public static void main. So as you see, we get a main and a placeholder for our code. I am here again using the code template that is provided in the problem. So I'll just remove this and add the code template here. Yeah. So we have the class Fibonacci01. We have a main where simply we are calling our function getFibonacci which will print the series, and then we have a function that will take care of the actual code. So getFibonacci passing the number here. Now as we saw before, we are getting this error. Now if you place your cursor on top of it, you'll see what quick fixes that you can do to remove this error. Add a return statement or change the return type to void. We'll quickly create a string and initialize it to a blank string. Let's say string result, and initialize it to a blank and just return the string for now. So that takes care of the warning. What I like to do before going ahead with the actual code is taking care of the corner condition. So that means your half of the program is done and dusted. So let's start by writing the conditions that take care if the number is less than 0 or greater than 40, or if the number is 1 or 2, what outputs will come in that case. So as you see, I have written the if conditions. The conditions simply check if your number is less than 0 or greater than 40. In this case, as specified in the specifications, we return -1. So I'll just do that. Now if your number is 1, that means if you just want to print the first number of the Fibonacci sequence, now that is going to be 0. You don't have to write any code for that. So you can straightforward return 0. Similarly, if you want 2 digits of the sequence to be printed, we can straight ahead return 0. and 1 separated by a comma. So that is there. Now, if you move forward and if your number is greater than 2, 3, 4, 5 digits of the sequence you want to print, every time you print a sequence that has digits greater than 2, your result should always contain the first two, 0 and 1, and then continue adding the remaining numbers at the end of it. So we'll initialize our result with 0 and 1. And now we'll go ahead with the rest of the code to print the remaining numbers. But first let's quickly check if we pass a number greater than 40 or if we pass 2, is that at least working fine. So let's say if we pass 42. Save your program. Always remember, save your program and run. So if you pass 42, we are getting 0. Now if you pass -3, again run, we get output -1. Now if you pass 2, your output should be 0 and 1. So run this and the output is 0 and 1. Now we'll go ahead and write the code for the case where our number is greater than 2. To generate this sequence, what we need to have is the first number, the second number, and the third number would be generated by adding the first two numbers. Now when the third number is generated, the third number becomes the second number becomes the first number, and then the fourth number is generated by adding the new first and second numbers. So let's start by creating of placeholders for these first and second numbers. So initially first would be 0. We initialize second to 1 and we create next. Created this for loop that will run from n is equals to 0 to n less than num minus 2. Why we are running it till num minus 2? Because our result already contains two numbers of the sequence, 0 and 1. So we have to run our for loop till num minus 2. Now inside the for loop, we'll do the simple mathematical calculations to calculate the next numbers, which is first plus second. And once this is done, we have to initialize first and second to the next numbers. So first will take second will take next. And also we add the next to the result by first adding a comma. So we first add a comma and then we add next to the result. And this is it. Now let's run this program and see if it gives us the correct output. So let's say for 5, save your program, run. So as you see, we are getting 5 numbers of the Fibonacci sequence starting with 0 and 1, and every next number is adding one more. So I hope you understood what a Fibonacci sequence is in this video and also implementing the if conditions. Thank you for watching and happy coding.